they're always making it seem like if you take this shortcut and this injection and that pill, that then you will have all of it. And the truth is, those are all marketing schemes. They're not true, and they will never bring you to a place where you feel blissful and full of joy and yourself. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Soulful Intuitive. Today we are going to talk about endorphins, and the reason why we're covering this today is because one of my good clients sent me a video from a YouTube channel called After School by a psychologist who was talking about endorphins and what happened or what has been happening in the developed countries, mainly Europe and North America, in terms of the level of anxiety and the increasing, very high level of anxiety being reported by people, and also depression. So the way that this psychologist described the ratio between pain and pleasure that is directly related to endorphins went like this. So she basically put pain and pleasure on the two opposite sides of a seesaw. And our brain is constantly trying to keep this, the hormones that are in charge of pain and pleasure and the receptors that are associated to them in brain at a balanced state. So for example, when we go and work out, usually we experience some sort of a pain and discomfort. But the second that the intensity goes away and the pain receptors stop working, then we experience what a lot of people call bliss or a high or joy or pleasure. They're all different terms for the same chemical reactions that happen in our bodies. So basically what has been happening in our culture and in our societies is we've been bombarded by ways in which we overload the pleasure centers in our brain. For example, having fast food, watching porn, watching hours and hours of our favorite TV shows, binge watching it, watching TV, eating our favorite foods, like binging on sweets and chips and alcohol binging, and everything is very much available to us. For example, in the past, if people were feeling frisky, they would have to do quite a lot of work in order to land another human being that they can have some adult fun with. However, these days, you can just have an app on your phone, and within sometimes minutes, they will be at your door. So for humans, majority of us, we are sometimes lost in the sense of pleasure, kind of like how the lab rats who were given cocaine and water, they kept hitting on cocaine until they died because they weren't having water, and they weren't really thinking about the consequences. And sometimes, as human beings, we become very obsessed with pleasure, and our innate dislike for pain pushes us towards only experiencing things that will bring us pleasure. So she broke it down in a very understandable, very basic ways. So then when we're constantly bringing pleasure to our lives, let's say we have watched 4 hours of TV, now our brain has to balance all of that dopamine, which is a pleasure hormone, joy hormone, that was secreted in our bloodstream. So then we go through a period of being down or being depressed or being low. So for those of us who maybe party in the weekend and go out and drink and do all the other stuff that people sometimes do during the weekend, then they call it Monday blues because they have parties Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and rolls around Monday and they're feeling pretty down. And they blame the substance that they're using. Maybe I drank too much, or maybe, and it's not so much the substance, it's how much of it that you did. Because when people are having a good time, they also get greedy. They're like, I'm not drunk enough, or I'm not high enough, or I'm not full enough, or just one more episode, and this goes on and on and on. And what adds to that insult is the fact that now our phones that we used to carry only to make phone calls is right in front of us. So we can watch porn on it all the time. We could watch our favorite TV shows. We can just surf on YouTube or Instagram or Twitter. And we just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And we all know that every time we scroll, our brain just gets excited. Oh, I wonder what's the next thing that's going to come up. Or is it going to be the news that I like? Or is it going to be like my friends whom I like maybe post a picture or video? Or maybe it's just someone I follow on Instagram or Twitter is going to like give me my next endorphin hits. So we keep constantly hitting that endorphin center in our brain, and then our brain has to counteract it, that like enormous amount of pleasure that's now we feel because we've been like abusing this side of the seesaw. Then it has to be counteracted by the other side of the seesaw. So then the brain has to now secrete the hormones or block the receptors that pick up on endorphins. So that's what when we call we're being like we're down, or we're feeling low, or we have no energy, or we're depressed. So then she went on to talk about how can we make pain our friend? Because it just turns out that when we go towards pain, first of all, the more pain that we bring into our lives voluntarily, the less pain we feel. The first time we go to the gym, we're about to die. A lot of us, we will throw up. We will roll around the mat. We will curse ourselves or the trainer or the class. Next week, not so much. The week after, a lot better. And it kind of gets to the point where we're looking forward to it. And why are we looking forward to it? Is because when we expose ourselves to adversity and pain, then in order for the brain to counteract the other side of the seesaw, now us experiencing pain, it has to release endorphins that will bring us pleasure. And it turns out that those endorphins and are a lot longer lasting. So the pleasure that we feel is longer lasting and will not be punished because the brain is only increasing that in order for us to reach homeostasis, which is the balance stage. So when we're, let's say, YouTube, too much endorphins, too much pleasure, then the brain has to make it go back to normal. But if we're constantly doing this, let's say if we're binge drink or binge eat for a very long time, then the brain gets stuck like this. So then it's going to be harder and harder for it to go back to normal. So then she came up with like different ways to reach that. For example, deprive yourself of your favorite shows that you watch every night for 3 hours. Instead of that, do twice a week for 2 hours a day. So 4 hours a week instead of 4 hours a day for the entire week. Go to the gym. Experience that pain of weightlifting or yoga or stretching or running or biking. And don't give up, because the first day is horrible. The second day is a little bit less horrible. The third day is just horrible. The day after might be even a little bit enjoyable. So make your pain your friend, which is the hardest thing for all of us to do. I have such a hard time make pain my friend because we don't want to experience pain. Also, if we have had previous trauma growing up, pain is all we felt all the time. So why do we want to go back to that? But that's emotional pain. This is a different kind of pain. This is the pain that we're in charge of. So she was basically suggesting take a cold shower or a cold bath. That's painful. The first day, very bad. The second day, very bad. Maybe the third day, a little bit better. But what we feel afterwards is we feel alive. We feel invigorated. We feel refueled. We feel young. We feel like we want to go conquer the world. Breath work. She was talking about breath work. And as someone who's heard about breath work for many years and never gave it a try until I had to experience it on the seat in front of my therapist, I have to tell you, breath work is, even for 3 minutes that you're doing it, you need to put in effort because you're like making deep breath, taking deep breaths in, and you're pushing out the breath out, and it's not natural. So it's uncomfortable. It's not painful. It's just uncomfortable. But when you're doing it and you see the results, you keep doing it because now you're conditioned, because you're looking for what comes up after the breath work, which is the meditative state, which is now you're feeling relaxed. Now your brain quiets down. Now you feel normal, calm, peaceful. Now you can then think about where you want to go in life. Now you can imagine your future. Now you can imagine your day. Now you can give the destinations that you want to arrive at more energy because you're not giving it energy from the lower state that you are before your breath work. But by doing the breath work, you elevate your vibration, and now you have more power to laser beam it and to give it more direction and strength. So what else she was talking about? Cut off your TV time. Obviously, for a lot of men, not so much women, like pretty much try to bring down your porn time. If you want to play video games, which a lot of people want to play video games, bring it down, maybe give yourself a week or 2 weeks off, and then reintroduce these things, but with mindfulness. So instead of, for example, playing every day, play twice a week. And when you want to play, bring a friend or two over so you're playing together. So that helps with your social skills and you're not playing with a total stranger online. Sorry, I have a cold. So that it contributes to your social skills, also hanging out because we're social beings. Humans are social beings. By being with people you love and care for, you also contribute to the feeling of wellness. And that by itself helps with your mood, brings your anxiety level down, and you don't feel like you've been stuck in front of your TV or your game monitor or your phone for like hours without really being productive or doing anything. The other thing that she was suggesting, for example, was do intermittent fasting or fast. So fasting I've done, and it's very difficult. The first couple of days, you will experience withdrawal. Just like any of these binge behavior, when you bring it down or you cut it for a short period of time, you will have the same feeling of withdrawal that, substance abuse has. You'll have a headache, you will feel lethargic, you will feel low, you will feel tired. But when you just jumped over that after a couple of days, when that withdrawal period is over, then you start to feel better and better. For people who do cleansing, they report the same thing. So by bringing your starvation level under your own control, by telling your brain that I will feed you when it's time, as opposed to listening to your body where your stomach goes, you feed me every 2 hours, I'm hungry. So the first couple of days, hard work, pain, but then you experience bliss. So fasting it's actually in every culture and has nothing to do with religion. It's been around forever because as human beings, we also never we didn't always have access to food. So we would like gorge on food when we had it, and then we'd go for a period of time where we didn't have food. So fasting was part of our DNA. We are familiar with fasting, just like sex. Sex was not always available. So now people don't really give sex any value, but sex was just more than sex. It was about people being intimate, people, touching each other, being affectionate. It served many purposes other than, just having that momentary release and releasing endorphins. So this video resonated so much with me that I just shared it with all my friends, all my clients, because we're constantly being told that, we're weak and we're doomed, and this was really good because it's telling us where the problem is. It's showing us with data that now our anxiety level is here in countries in the world where people, at least where people's basic needs are met. They have roof over their head, they have an okay income, they're not starving, they're not experiencing social upheaval or political upheaval, and yet they're one of the unhappiest. So why is that? It's because of overindulgence, and overindulgence in behaviors that will just increase our dopamine more than how it's supposed to be, and for such a long time that your brain has to work extra hard in order to bring it to balance. And that, going from here to here, is when people start feeling anxious and depressed and low and just losing zest for life. I highly recommend all of you who watch this episode to even go and click on that YouTube channel. And I think it's called After School, SKOOL. And it's long. I think it was maybe half an hour long, but it was worth watching. And I wanted to share that with all of you because it really just gave me so much energy to know that changing your life for better is always one step away from the next step, from the next step, until we reach a place where we look back and we go, I've come a long way, because we're constantly trying to make huge leaps and those leaps never happen. Losing weight starts with maybe moderating your food, maybe taking one unhealthy ingredient out of your menu. Losing weight starts with maybe taking a half-hour walk every day. Being in a good mood in the morning starts with a cold shower. Just tiny steps, but they're always making it seem like if you take this shortcut and that shortcut and this injection and that pill, that then you will have all of it. And the truth is, those are all marketing schemes. They're not true, and they will never bring you to a place where you feel blissful and full of joy and yourself. So then you can just go on your journey and do what you're supposed to do. Because when you are anxious and depressed, the chances of you living your best life drops down a bit. Well, thank you very much for watching this episode. Please don't forget to press on subscribe and like button if you like this, and share it with your friends, please. Thank you very much, and talk to you soon.